Yep, pretty excited today. I was looking at more information about Diablo 4, just because, you know, I don't really see myself, I guess. I mean, I know it's ironic because I've been pretty much, nonstop playing Diablo Immortal, but that's just because I love the franchise. Um, but, I mean, what is there at endgame? I mean, that's why I'm rolling alts, right? Oh, actually, yeah, let's switch this screen here. Switch it to this. I mean, as you can see, voila, all the alts as per my title. Last time I was playing, I don't know what's up with the buggy the helm not showing, which is fine. I think my character looks cool. Um, but yeah, the helm wasn't showing, so I don't I don't know what the deal was. Maybe there's an option to not show helm. Hold on, is it the same for others? No, they got their hats on, so I don't know what the deal is. But yeah, I mean, at end game, I don't know if there's any. I mean, I don't know if there's anything, right? Because there's the challenge rifts. Like, I mean, I don't know. My main character is like the monk. Is at. Oh, I guess I should probably log in and do the daily quest with this guy. But, um, yeah. I mean, there's challenge rifts. There's elder rifts. I mean, there's definitely discrimination happening. People don't want to group up with you unless you're throwing up like baller crests, right? And, like I'm all out. I don't got any, so um yeah, I mean it's I mean there's that. And even if I did have crests, right? It's just farming the same content, like nothing's new, like the fights are super easy, like there's nothing hard with the bosses. Like even with the modifiers, like even if everyone's dropping down 10 a crest, which by the way I didn't know you could do until I rolled with my homie and he just like dropped 10 crests like I was like, damn, you could do that. Um but But yeah, I mean, like it's pretty tough. I feel like as a free-to-play player to find any content worth doing at end game. That's why I kind of eased off the gas on like the main character. I mean, you can see he's level 18 Paragon, and at the time that was still pretty high for most people. Like the highest that I saw Paragon-wise at the time was maybe early 20s, maybe mid 20s, right? And I was like Paragon 15 or 16 at the time. And then I just started making alts because I was like, I know they're supposed to introduce like being able to re-roll your character, max level character, and all your characters are disjointed. They don't have a shared account. Like anything that you get on one person is specifically bound to that character. So all the money that you spend, like if you do spend money, will be just for that character. It's not based on your count, which is even more whack, right? So like on a principle kind of level, there's so many things about this game that I really really hate that Blizzard is doing, and just cast them in a very bad light from my point of view, especially as someone that's grown up with the original Blizzard being badass. And I'm sure a lot of the developers that were part of the team, part of the squad now, I mean, they're probably all at different places now. um I'm sure there's some that climbed up the ranks and are like senior execs or whatever kind of situation, but a lot of them got scouted to other places. Like I know, like at one point, a big chunk of them went to NC Soft, and they were helping with Guild Wars, especially when Guild Wars 2 first started. Like it was like super popular. I mean, a lot of Blizzard employees had a hand in that. Same thing with Riot Games, made out of core Blizzard employees. And like pretty much like you name most companies that have like really solid huge hits, they had like Blizzard teams had like a hand in that in one way or another, I feel. um and just to see what they become now, I was just like, damn, like what are they gonna do with Diablo 4? And then like even Diablo 3, I mean I quit eventually, right? Although I love it because you just keep grinding, and like the idea is, okay, grind so you can get better loot, so you can grind better to get better loot. That dopamine eventually runs out, right? And you learn to recognize it too. You recognize the psychology that's going on there. You recognize how they kind of fashion the system and the gameplay in order to loop you into that cycle. And then this one's way more egregious, so it's like predatory, so it feels gross and feels grimy and feels not even grimy, it feels slimy. Like it feels like Like all the used car salesmen are like molesting me, you know, like when I'm like playing this game. So like as you know, as much as I do enjoy it, because as a Diablo game, especially a mobile game, I think it's pretty solid. You know, it's just now watch like as time goes by. I mean, like the YouTube algorithm is like pumping out more suggestions for like Diablo videos for me since I watched a couple now, and they're like, here's more about the monetization. And I mean, there's definitely some good videos. I just saw another one. This guy just had like like I don't know 30-40 minute video essay about all the different egregious ways, and I was just kind of spitballing, ballparking when I said like they have so many different like numerous numbers of currencies in this game to obfuscate what's actually going on, like how much money you're actually spending, and how much you think that you need, and how it's mismatched. So like let's say like you need the perfect amount of gems, like average, let's say you need 5 or something, or 10 or something. They have it so like when you're buying the premium currency, you can only get 9, for let's say for example, right? Instead of like the actual amount that you need, they make sure that you can get like almost there but not quite, so you're forced to buy another bundle immediately after that to get it, and when I was talking about the numerous currencies, I just kind of from the top of my head I was like, oh, there's like 11 different currencies, but this dude actually counted it up, and there's 22 different currencies in this game. So I mean there's definitely no need for that. I mean the more different type of currencies you see in a game, the more like pay to win and the more like gacha level it is, like gacha kind of game system. So like I'm looking at the screen right now, and what I'm thinking, at least for me, is I'm sure like people might be like, man, this guy's bitching about it and just playing it nonstop. I kind of feel like that's how it is if you're like really into a game, because like you want it to be like better, um yeah, but I never like, I mean, I really thought about all the games I played on stream. I've never bitched about a game this much. uh this is definitely the one, like the most that I've bitched about any game. And like the other games and stuff, it's just like it's not even bitching, it's just like I'm just thinking about like the pros and cons of the game, like what could be better, what could be worse, what I really like about the game. These are just kind of like commentaries as I feel them, and as I'm experiencing the gameplay and working through the gameplay. Sometimes I really love like the story behind it, sometimes I really love like the storytelling of the world itself, sometimes I love the architecture, sometimes I love the mood, sometimes I love the music, sometimes I love the mechanics of the gameplay, like the combat system, like the leveling system, like all this stuff, right? Replayability, like what enhances the game, like what makes it like last longer, like longevity, what keeps the attention of the player, and what's just padding, what's just kind of like fat that's needlessly there. I mean, all games have some fat, right? You can't have a game that's super lean all the time, or it's just like perfectly just whatever, a fit game or something. All games gonna have that excess fat just to like prolong the experience. It's just whether or not it's balanced well is kind of what makes or breaks, not even breaks, but what makes a game great, or what makes a game good or bad, and honestly there's nothing to do at high end, even if you're spending crazy amounts of money. Like sure, like I mean, I made a guild for the first time in any game that I played. It happened to be this one. I mainly because I didn't want to keep getting like invited to random guilds. but um but I always have a like a guild here, so like this, it's the house that I built with my like money, like when currency wise, when I'm broke in this game. So it kind of feels like, yeah, it'll always be here, so if I ever come back like a year from now, whatever, I'll still have like a place. And if I ever build like a community through streaming and stuff, like, and then they also play, then I'll be like, yeah, you're part of the squad, you can join up here, or whatever. So that's cool. I'm glad I made one. But looking at, I didn't even research like the immortals and shadow versus the shadows, like I said I was going to. But I mean, there's other things you can do, right? They have other, like there's battlegrounds as well. Although like if you're not paying to win, like why even bother? And more importantly, why play as a monk, right? Like in PvP, it's kind of like and also like PvP is not really something that I'm like super into, right? In most games, I mean, other than fighting games, because I'm like, if you're gonna play PvP stuff, I'd rather just play fighting games. um but yeah, I mean, either way, I don't know, I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, what could have been, right? This could have been like a companion thing, like on the go, like if you want to play on the phone. I mean, you still can, right? But I feel like once you get to like 60, there's really nothing. There's just rifts. There's challenge rifts. There's elder rifts, which there's okay. You want to farm to get set items, like, but why, right? And it's like, okay, maybe at hell difficulty, because I'm in hell difficulty 1. Maybe hell difficulty 2 will have different stuff, like different set items. It does, right? It drops different things. Hell difficulty 4, or like 3, etc. You can get higher and higher up to hell 5. But what's the point? Like, I don't really see like anything new, especially since I was like looking at stuff like Path of Exile. Uh, I mean, I know I played that just very briefly for one day before Diablo Immortal came out, because I was just really feeling that itch to play an action RPG that's kind of like Diablo-esque, because I was excited about this release, not because I was excited about a mobile game, but just because it was Diablo, you know. Um, and admittedly, it is fun to at least up to max level, or max, before Paragon kicks in, and you can keep getting stronger and buffer, but it doesn't really change the mechanics of what your character can do. I mean, like finding out the different combos you can do with your legendaries, that like modify your ability, so you can really kind of have a bespoke. Well, I guess it's not ultimately super bespoke, because like anyone else can do it too, but that you can customize a character and play like with the skill sets, like a combination of skill sets that you really want to. Not to the point of Path of Exile, because that game is like, customization is off the charts. You can do whatever you want, however you want. And I really, like, the more and more I look into it, like, I really respect what it is that they're doing as a company, like the people that made Path of Exile, because they did monetization correctly. They're not predatory, right? And what they do is not pay to win. All of that money that they make in cosmetics and all these other things get funneled back into development to bring more content for Path of Exile, which they've been supporting for years now. It's been getting better. And it's not just like, okay, we'll just do whatever generic, like RNG generated boss with like, whack fight. It actually is pretty involved from what I've seen. It seems like it's challenging in a good way, and it feels rewarding to beat the bosses, figure out the bosses. It seems like it's fun, like the farming is worthwhile. They take community feedback really to heart, and they implement changes. They also like are gonna release the sequel to the game, Path of Exile 2, and I was looking at that, and man, it looks really good. Like, it makes that jump from like kind of indie level quality to like legit, like big budget kind of feeling game, because the stuff that Diablo does really well is like that visceralness of like when you attack, you feel like you're doing the attacks, right? Like, I mean, you hear the sound effects, you hear the punches impacting the mobs, and when the boss explode, they have a very satisfying kind of like death animation. Like, I mean, the sound effects that go along with it, the way the loot kind of explodes out to feel the dopamine, like as you see like the gold pillars of light for the legendaries that drop, or the green ones for the set items or whatever, you get hype about it. So like all of this they do very well, and they perfected it. Even the way the money drops out, it doesn't drop out as just one anticlimactic pile with a numerical value over it. It's like in little mini piles, and you hear the dropping sound effects and the jingle and jangle, all of this. I mean, there's a psychology behind this. I mean, it's the same psychology that people use in the business, in the casinos for slot machines. That's why they're loud, at the flashing lights, and have that visceral stuff. And that's why you see those zombie, like, old ladies with their buckets of coins just picking up an entire row of slot machines, going and pulling, and they're playing penny slots, but they're just doing it because they want that, like, that dopamine, so they play the entire row of slot machines and just do it. They do it all day, maybe buy a drink, whatever. If they win, cool. If not, whatever, and that's just their life. And so there's elements of that in Diablo that, like, at least in Diablo 2 and 1, it wasn't necessarily predatory. It was just in there, and like it's something that the human psyche really likes, and they're like, yeah, that feels badass. Like, I just got this, like, whatever. The RNG factor, where even if you get a legendary, like, the modifiers will be different. So you're like, oh, is it the perfect roll? Am I getting the perfect version of this item? Like, all this stuff is good. But when they weaponize all of that and then make the mechanics of the game and orchestrate it in a way where it's all to fleece you as a customer, as a client, and stuff like that, it just feels really gross. And it sucks. And the fact that, like, compared to like PoE, where they do so many things right, like, I feel like they're behind on the production value, in the sense of like how the animations look, how the sound impact is, like, you know, how like the death animation for the mobs, like these type of things, it's not as good, you know. But looking at Path of the Exile 2, I was like, man, it's like it's up there with Diablo 4, and Diablo 4 looks good, and they have the pedigree, they have like all the biggest bloated budget, right? Obviously, because it's Blizzard, um, to make that game. But the difference is like it's not just like, okay, the now it's a higher tier level of the boss. Like even the rifts dungeons, you're just doing like maybe less than 10 bosses that you've already seen in the story mode. You just find the same versions of them, right? Except for they might hit harder, or like you don't have enough like resistance. So stuff that you used to be able to just sit through and just tank, you can't anymore. You have to dodge them. But even then, it's like not hard, right? And it's never like a skill thing. It's a gear thing. So it's a gear check. It's a skill check. Or not skill check, it's a gear check to beat the boss. So like, okay, can you beat this difficulty version of this boss? Is your gear good enough? Can you take the hits? Can you deal out the damage? That's all it is. So then it's like, okay, then what's the fun of playing this game, right? I mean, you're on the hamster wheel for a while because it's like the gameplay is enjoyable, but then that's gonna lose its luster pretty quickly, and they're pretty notorious for doing that. I mean, even Diablo 3, I mean, when I quit, I mean, it was just like, it was after like probably weeks of me just like not enjoying the game and just logging in because I'm like, okay, I gotta get on the hamster wheel, I need to farm that gold and like, you know, maybe get this nice item, whatever. Like I never got to the point where I was like selling stuff on the auction house to like pay for rent and pay for food, like put food on the table and shit. But I knew people who were doing that, and like I just like, man, like do I want to be like those like farmers, or they're just, that's all they're doing, you know? Because you look at them, they're basically like zombies, right? They don't really enjoy it. um you know, and I never wanted the game to end up being like that, because that kind of reminded me of like World of Warcraft, where like raiding, essentially when you're raiding like in-game stuff, it's like a job, like, or any MMO really, if you're in like a raiding guild, you know, especially like older MMOs, even like EverQuest and stuff like that. Like I mean, you're leading gigantic like 80 plus man raids. You know, you got to coordinate all this stuff, and this is even before voice chat. So you're typing this stuff out, and like people like, you know, have to do the homework. You know, have to pre-farm like reagents and potions and all these other buffs and stuff like that to get ready. And then everyone's schedule has to match up, and they're not all in the same zone or the same country, right? So and there's fun to that too, because you have that co-op element and the camaraderie, and it's just like, we did it, our band of misfits, we made it happen, we beat this boss, it was dope, you know, or whatever shit like that. But like you know, it definitely also became a job where you had to be like, okay, I gotta be online, so I can't chill with the homies, or I gotta, you know, whatever, you know, take care of things that I need to take care of in life, or be with the family, or whatever it is. And I never wanted that again, you know. And so I'm very like wary of these type of mechanics, especially like this situation where it's like weaponized against you. So like the fact that I'm even playing it this much is a testament to how I love the franchise, and how much I do enjoy like the leveling experience, which is why I made all these alts, although none of them are linked, you know. And so I guess I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, but I mean, there's better games out there that I could be investing my time into, is what I'm trying to say. So, I'm gonna at least get everyone to 60, like everyone on this character select screen at least, which is not gonna be hard to do. But I mean, I do find enjoyment in finding out like different combos, different like builds. Like, I know they're not always gonna be the most optimal, but like, you know, figure out something. And I'm sure like there's some certain things that I would do that other people don't do, you know, that maybe what I'm doing is better, um or worse, you know, who knows. But finding things out, I enjoyed that aspect. So at least getting to 60 is good, but I'm really worried for Diablo 4, where what's the in-game content? Is it going to be like this? Is it going to be like Diablo 3, where it's really, there is no in-game content, it's just grinding for the sake of grinding, and you do it until it's no longer fun, and then you quit and move on. And I guess that's cool, but it's like, you know, they could be so much better, I feel. um like especially like PoE, like play, Path of Exile, like the stuff they're doing, like all their bosses look very fun to and challenging to fight. And so like if you beat them, then it's just like, yo, I made it happen. And it's not like, okay, there's difficulty 2 version of that guy where it's exactly the same but they just hit you harder. It's not. It's like you actually have to uh quote unquote like learn the fight and, you know, basically get skilled enough to beat the boss, right? Which I feel is how it should be, as opposed to just it being a gear check. It's like, okay, is your gear good enough? It's not like, is the player good enough? And they keep coming out with new content. They have different seasons that keep coming out that changes the mechanics of the game here and there, and so like everything is like the way you have to play the game is a little bit different. So I don't know if Blizzard will support it like that, because usually what they do is they'll release it, and you know, with their all admittedly pretty fun like classes to play. They're fun to play, but the end game content is never there. It's just farming, 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 and then after like a year or so, then they announce expansion, and that comes out as like one or two new classes, rinse and repeat, and that's it. And then, you know, done and dusted. They're done with it. You know, they don't touch it anymore, and they just let it die or whatever. As opposed to Path of Exile, which they keep evolving the game over time, adding new stuff for players, and I think that's fantastic. And I really admire companies that do that, because it's not easy to do. But I mean, to take something that was created by a different company, in this case Blizzard, like essentially this genre was created by Blizzard, right? Um, and do it better than Blizzard's doing. It's just, it says so much about how much Blizzard has fallen as a company, um, and it's sad to see. I mean, I'm hopeful for Diablo 4, but I feel like the formula is going to be the same, where it's going to be like Diablo 3. It's going to be legit. I'm going to have a lot of fun playing it until max level, and then that's it. You know, because I'm no longer the type to just stay on that hamster wheel indefinitely. At least not to the point where, like, you know, I'm like a Stockholm syndrome, like, you know, like a victim, you know, where I'm just like, no, no, no. Like, I'm sitting there making excuses for my abusers. Like, no, no, no. You see, Blizzard, they just had a bad day. You know, they're going through this sexual harassment, like a lawsuit thing. They're normally really legit. It's just, it's a bad time for them. You know, we gotta come to some slack. It's like, bitch, please. You know, like, come on, right? Uh, but yeah, I'm really hopeful. Yeah, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, this is so dope. Just imagine what they could have done with this, right? Keep supporting it the way, if they supported like a Path of Exile, they could still be making crazy good money. I mean, what they made, like what was it, 60 million or 6 million? I don't remember. Six or 60 million US dollars in the first week of this game. I was like, man, you know, like, they don't care if their Metacritic score is 0.5 rating. That's like this now. It's like the second worst game of all time, like second worst reviewed game. But who cares about that? They're laughing all the way to the bank. You know, making crazy amounts of money off all these dolphins and whales, right? And then of course the giga whales. And thanks to the giga whales is how we even found out that there's, like, you know, the ability to socket gems within gems, right? It's just like, yo, gemception. Once you get to like max tier gems, your grind is not done. There's more you can do. And then there's this one dude that spent 10 grand, like US cash, right? 10,000 US dollars, and he still hasn't gotten a 5 out of 5 star gem, because it's 0.05%. It's like 1 out of 2,000. So it's like, and like how they circumvent that, right? Because, like, I mean, again, shout outs to Belgium and Netherlands for just like seeing through this bullshit, and like the way that Blizzard was trying to circumvent the laws, like gambling laws and loot crate laws. They saw through that shit and pre-banned this game. Like, I really respect what that country did. Like, just imagine if like all of EU did that, all of China did that, all of America did that. Just imagine, right? Like, all these people, then Blizzard would have to change if the regulations come into effect, because this is extremely predatory, for not just obviously for the kids too, but for everybody, right? Like, some people can't even pay rent, and because their money's going towards games like this, because of how they're essentially tricked and psychologically manipulated to be addicted, right, to spending money. So, uh, yeah, I mean, like, where they make it so you can't. I'm trying to remember the specifics of the law, but it was in that video, and I didn't even realize this, but they make it so, like, you do like a what, like less than 5 minute run in a rift, right? Because a rift doesn't take a long time. 5 minute run, do the rift to. Essentially it's like you're killing enemies, easy enemies by this. They're not hard, right? But you're doing a rift to kill enemies, and you take 5 minutes of pre pulling the slot machine thing, right? So it's loot crates, but you have to first uh, waste 5 minutes of your time pretending to play like this portion of the game just so that you can pull the loot crate, like whatever gambling lever, right? And because of this gameplay play element where you have to like, okay, quote unquote, play the game for 5 minutes before you're able to pull like get the loot crate, they can circumvent laws that are specifically targeted at loot crates, right? It's not because they can say like, oh, it's actually not gambling. In the same way, like the developer guy, the main like head producer or whatever guy, the lead guy for this game, Wyatt Chang, like when he was talking about like, oh, there will be no gear that you can buy, like it won't be pay to win with money, right? But how did they circumvent that? So like technically, like I mean, and when I say technically, I mean like in a court of law, like they can slime ball their way and say like, no, see, you cannot directly buy gear. I'm like, yeah, I guess like if you mean armor and weapons, but armor and weapons is like not even like the main way of like getting combat rating or like being strong in this game. It's actually the gems, right? And you can definitely buy the gems, right? Because that's, I mean, you use the premium currency to get the gems. That's the only way to get the gems, right? That's why my character's sitting here like on the struggle bus, right, without any of these gems because he's poverty mode. Um, but I mean, even if I like, was a billionaire, like I really wouldn't partake in this type of predatory, mechanic in this game. And the fact that they can just sit there, and it's funny too because like they have a mission statement at their website, right? There's like 8 main mission statements. One of them is like integrative gameplay type of situation where they're talking about like a gameplay first and then like because customer first. I mean, of course these mission statements from all companies, they sound hella good, right? It sounds some fucking utopian shit, where it's just like, yeah, we're for the beauty and the passion of games, and when obviously it's all about money, right? And it's so it just makes me feel so jaded seeing this shit, right? And it's sad too, because like I really feel like, I mean, I don't know, right? Because like I don't know this Wyatt person. I've never talked to him. Like for all I know, he might really think and believe the words that are coming out of his mouth. But I feel like, unless you have like a learning disability, I feel like he knows, right? He knows. So like there's gonna be that. Mm, like cognitive dissonance that's going to cause him stress and that's going to cause him depression. And of course, now at this point, with like how much that cognitive dissonance is going to actually cause you distress comes down to what type of personality you have. Like if you're a psychopath or a sociopath, there's going to be zero problems. You're going to sleep sound as a baby every night, like fleecing all the customers, like whatever, right? And he's going to be like, yo, there's a war going on, people dying. That's the real tragedy. Who gives a fuck about like games and monetization in games? I mean, if you're thinking about like that, then like, or justifying like that, like I guess, right? I get what you're saying, but like comparative suffering is really never the answer, right? I mean, just because one thing is worse than another thing doesn't make that other thing good. It just means both things are shitty. It's just one thing's shittier, right? It doesn't mean that like, okay, we only should care about the shittiest thing. Like no, like we should care about all shitty things and try to fix them, as a society. That's how we get better. Um, but like budgeting your caring, what is it, I was about to say caring economy, but I guess it's not caring economy, but budgeting your caring, or empathy, finances, I guess, or resources probably is better to say. uh, Budgeting that, I mean, kind of makes sense, right? I mean, you got to do that as you're living. You can't care about every single thing in the world, right? But it's just like, looking at this, if you're working in the game industry and you're leading, you're like the lead guy for a game that's like weaponized to fleece the customers and take all their money and psychologically manipulate them, then I feel like you probably would feel some sort of guilt, right? Wouldn't you? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know exactly what his position. I didn't look into it too much. I just know like it's just him. He's the mouthpiece. He's the face that you see whenever like the interviews pop up because he's like the lead guy, right? So if he's lead producer or whatever, like I know usually they're not even really, the ones that are creating the games. They aren't actually the coders. They aren't actually the people working on the network stuff. They aren't the ones working on the art stuff or the music stuff. Like I know that, right? So like they're just the face, right? It's almost like they're kind of like a CEO or something, where the whole purpose of them being there is not to actually produce the product or anything. It's for them to quote unquote lead and steer the company and then take the flack, take the heat, and then step down when shit hits the fan, right? Um, But either way, I don't know about Diablo 4, because like looking at this, I'm like, what could have been? Like if they could have just made this like something amazing, that would have bought them so much goodwill and money too. They would have still been making crazy, crazy money, for sure they would have. If they just did it like Path of Exile, where it's like they're treating the people with respect, they could still make crazy money. And then just imagine how, if this was like a companion app, and so something that people could always play on the side, even with Diablo 4 out, this game would still be thriving at the same time, right? Because there are so many mobile phone users. Why wouldn't they play this, right? Um, and then maybe you can do like cross promotional stuff, like okay, so like for this bonus week or whatever, like if you do something here in the game, you get extra items in Diablo 4, or maybe like StarCraft, like, or whatever. There are other franchises they could have branched like and kind of did collabs or stuff, like. And even if they want to do some sort of like cosmetic fun thing, be like, okay, well this month we did like a collaboration with Riot or something, or like some other game company, or even like, even if they wanted to do like product things, like okay, now we're doing something with like Mountain Dew or some shit, like do that, and then you can get like a Do the Do logo for your helmet or something, something stupid, right? But they could still make money without like egregiously like attacking their customers essentially. And I don't know when this happened, because I haven't been like kind of playing games. There was a big gap for several years, like probably over like a decade, where I just wasn't really playing games. Um, and I didn't see their fall from grace. So for me, it's such a huge, like, an aggressive and violent punch in the face. I'm just really kind of dazed and stunned, right? Because I'm like, well, what the hell happened, right? Because like I wasn't expecting any of this. Like I saw the downward trends, right? But I thought it was self-correct because I was naive and stupid, I guess, right? But I had other things to think about in life other than just gaming, right? So um, yeah, I uh, just coming back to it just to see what happened to Blizzard, and like what they're doing right now, like makes me wonder like how much of it is Activision, how much of it is the C-suite, like with all those executives in there going like, all right, this is what we're gonna do, here's how we're gonna maximize our profits, and then we can go home and like to our like whatever like big mansions and shit. While all the people that work beneath us aren't even getting proper like health coverage and shit like that. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know when it happened. Like, I mean, I guess it can be generalized further into like, capitalism. That's why capitalism never loses, right? In any matchup, they always win, right? They remain undefeated, right? Because everybody loves money. Uh, but but yeah, I just realized like every time I've streamed this game, I started the stream with a rant. And I gotta budget my internet too now, because I actually got an email from Comcast, and it's like this is still the beginning of the month essentially, right? And they're like, you're already at 75% of your allocated bandwidth. I'm like, just from streaming, you know? I mean, yeah, I'm streaming at 1080p, but I mean, I still have the bitrate low, so like, I mean, I don't even have another stream open. I usually have like two streams open, so I can monitor like my dashboard, and then I can monitor my actual stream, um, like how it looks to viewers and stuff. But then I mean, I gotta be careful. I can't watch other people's streams either. Like I gotta be careful when I watch like YouTube videos. I gotta like uh, whatever, lower the resolution. I can't watch it in 1080p. I gotta make sure, because I was watching live stream still. I was watching the Cliburn, like the piano competition. Speaking of which, um, like yeah, Ilya Schmokler, like yeah, I really like him. I think he plays beautifully. He sounds amazing. He made it into the finals. I was very happy. He was the first guy they called, and I don't know if they call it based on like the ranking, but like, you know it was dope to see, because I was like, man, like is he the runner up, right? But probably not. It's probably randomized, right? But I'm a fan. And also like Clayton, like the only U.S. representative, the holding it down for America, right? Because America is so weak in all these competitions, international competitions. You always see the American competitors get smoked, and rarely make it to the final rounds. But yeah, Clayton's in there. But yeah, Clyburn, I think it's cool. Like, I just think, I don't know, like they're really messing up with their audio though, because I don't know if it's like the audio team, or if they're new to like broadcasting streaming stuff, right? Because webcast is it's definitely different, because they're not normalizing the volume. So when they go to their announcer desk, or like their sports, like ESPN sports desk equivalent thing, which also I think is kind of weird that they set it up like that. but when they do that, it's like the volume is like 3 times louder than when the actual performance is happening. So like you always have to like scurry to like kind of adjust your volume on your monitor or your TV or your headphones or whatever, um, so that so that you don't blow out your headphones. And it's like really frustrating because I'm like, okay, like I always feel like it should be louder for the actual concert portion, like the recital portion, like the performance section, but it's like quieter, I guess, as if it's attenuated. And more importantly, I don't know if it's mic'd up properly. Even when they were doing the announcement, like I mean, the guy was at a podium talking to the mic, but it sounded like they were using the auditorium mic from the ceiling to they're grabbing audio from that to broadcast, and not the actual microphone in front of the guy's face, because you heard all this weird echo and it sounded far away. And like it's just, I don't know. And they had the same issue before they moved to this concert hall. When they were doing it at the university, they had the exact same issue. So like I feel like the audio team, like they are inexperienced with broadcasting or something, like for live casting anyway, because, or either that or they're not actually checking their VODs, right? They're not checking their VODs. They're not like reviewing like the audio as it's being broadcast live. Like I don't know what's going on, but they need to sort that out because it makes them look like hella amateurish. Uh, and that competition is not amateurish. I mean, it's one of the most prestigious competitions, right? And they help like propel people's careers forward. Like even people who don't win, like get their careers pushed forward here. Um, so it's a big opportunity for these people, and it's just like as a viewer, it's just like, what is going on here? Like, and this is why I gotta give shout outs to like the Chopin competition again, because that was by far the best broadcast experience I've ever experienced for any of these tournaments. I remember as I was watching it, I was just like, and they had audio issues too, though, right? But not nearly as much as the Van Cliburn competition. I don't know what's going on there, but I remember even saying like, hey, I hope the Tchaikovsky competition takes note, because this is like the new gold standard for internet broadcasting live, like the competition. Like I mean, how they provided like the audio and the video, right? Like how they had the good panels afterwards, and it wasn't just like commentary, like because this sports desk thing was like, I mean, you could tell a lot of it was like we got to pay the bills, or let's bring on the like rodeo people, because they're like promoting some like cowboy rodeo thing, which hey, that's the local culture, that's totally cool, right? Tourism board. But I mean, people want more about the competition. They want more about like to learn about the history of the competition, to know more about the competitors, and like pushing the art forward, not necessarily like going like, all right, here are our sponsors. Like sure, you're gonna have sponsors. I mean, I showed the Chopin competition, which is why I was always like making fun of the chocolate cookies, or whatever, the ginger snap cookies or whatever they were, the Chopin cookies. But I mean, they didn't have the person from the company come out and start like waxing poetic about their product. They had it on display on the coffee table, like Chopin cookies. Here they are as they're doing the interview. But they kept it classy, right? It was still about the music, and it was focused only on the music. So I don't know. Like there's certain things where I'm like, man, like I feel like they can do way better. But like I hope the Tchaikovsky competition, because that's next year, and that's like the competition for, and it's not just limited to just piano, right? That's for everybody, and it's super grueling, super amazing though. And I hope their webcast is like at least at the level of the Chopin one, where it's just like the audio is done right so you can hear clearly. I mean, because it was mic'd up really well, and yeah, I mean, you could really like, I could hear, like I almost felt like I was there, right, listening to it. And this is over YouTube compression too, right? So it's just like I was so impressed. So whatever they're doing, like the volume was good too, and I think that's important, because you don't want the volume to be so quiet, right? It was, I don't know, it was just really quiet for the actual performances. I will say though, the framing for like the pianist, they always cut to this one framed shot of when the pianist would stand up to, or like right at the finale of their pieces and their performance, and that was really well framed. It looked beautiful every single time. Like they had the lighting just right, so it looked hella like a scene from a movie or something, right? I was just like, man, that's okay. The camera team's on point right here, like with how they set that up. It looks really good. But audio, they need to sort that out. Like people are not trying to blow out their headphones listening to like the sports desk guy talking about like how the rodeo is cool. It's like, come on, man. Like, work on that. But But yeah, I guess I was just talking about that because I'm like annoyed with man, just talking about Blizzard, like being so predatory and being unhappy about this makes me kind of like have this negative tone for the other stuff too, like the Cliburn and like because I'm not negative about it. Like I mean, the fact that it's being broadcast and it has beautiful music, I mean, I love that, right? Even the sports desk commentary stuff, it's not like I hate that in itself. I mean, they got to pay the sponsors too, but it's just, man, I just realized like I'm being a negative Nancy here, like mentality wise, just because of Blizzard, right? And Comcast, because like I think they're both like, I mean, they're both corporate, they're both like very predatory against their customers. As a company, they're not. I mean, Comcast way worse, obviously, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna be so sad. I'm gonna be so sad if, because this coming week is when I'm supposed to be getting. They even set up an appointment, for setting up the new internet. But I mean, they might they might fall through like they have been every single time for like half a year now, every month, right? But I might actually pre-call them and be like, "Hey, are we still on? Is everything good now? Did you install the whatever the dish that you need to install on the ceiling or the roof to get this to happen?" Like, um, yeah, because I can't wait. This metered internet bullshit, right? I mean, this month it was just streaming. Like I'm not even uploading crazy videos, just streaming in 1080p, low bitrate too, not even high. That's why I get drop frames here and there. Yeah, looking at it right now, I mean 78 drop frames. That's not that bad actually. So it's still counting at 0.0%. But sometimes you'll see like thousands of drop frames, and it's never hardware. I look at it. I mean, it's not hardware encoding or anything. It's always like the crappy internet. So yeah, I mean, yeah, Comcast, you're not trying to like get more money. I mean, they've been charging me more money every month too because of like overages and stuff. So like it really sucks while I'm waiting for like my gigabit Ethernet. I can't, or Ethernet, but whatever, fiber. I can't wait. Symmetrical upload and download 1 gigabit without no data cap. That's, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that because then I can actually up the bitrate on this, not worry about this, and I'm also improving my stream setup here and there a little bit by little bit. I even have like this new TV coming in, like my first new display, like of any sort, like monitor or TV wise. Like I've not had a TV in like 15 years, but or longer. Yeah, longer than that actually. But my monitor, I mean, my monitor is still super old, but this new TV will be amazing. Like it was on sale. Like I think it's such a good price. It's the LG C1. If you guys are looking for a TV like that, I mean, there are better TVs. If some, there might be people from like the AV forums who are like scoffing, go like, "Oh, if you're watching movies, you should get the Sony, like whatever." Like, yeah, I mean, sure, I agree with that, right? But as a like a do-it-all kind of OLED TV, and OLED, dude, I'm so excited. Like, it's gonna be OLED. I mean, it's the smallest size that they have, and it's last year's flagship, and that's why it's so cheap, because that's always when to get it, right? You get last year's the flagship. Although this year's stuff is super good, QD OLED is definitely where it's at. It's so beautiful. I was really tempted to wait until this Black Friday, because then it'll drop like what, 30% price, 40% price maybe, probably not that much, maybe like 35% max, and get it then. But I'm like, this drop right now is like super good. It's uh like $8.99 when it's normally, I'm trying to remember what the normal price is. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna look right now. But I mean, essentially, it was the lowest price that I've ever seen it. And I'm like, I can't pass that up. And plus, I was getting it from because initially I saw that deal. It was from like this website called Buy Dig. And I'm like, I've seen them pop up here and there on deal websites, but I've never ordered from them, and I wasn't sure how trustworthy they were with the return and shipping and all that stuff, right? And warranty. I didn't want that hassle. I wanted someplace I really trusted, right? And let me see here. LG C1. Yeah, just look at the price history here. Well, let me just look at like Camel. They have they should have it. Okay, yeah, here we go. Oh, I didn't know I had Alexa built in. Should turn that shit off. Could turn that. Why is this default off? I don't understand. Can we see the chart? Please? Pretty please? There we go. Okay, so it was... Yeah, Amazon also has this for the same price, but I mean, I got mine from Costco, because Costco essentially gave a 5-year warranty, and I'm like, that's too good to pass up. Um, and so yeah, but Amazon has it right now too. I mean, if you're in the market for like an OLED TV that you could, I mean, I feel like the 42 inch, the new one, the C2 is better because it's like a more manageable size and it's QD OLED. Wait, is it QD OLED? I'm trying to remember. Hold on. I don't want to say the wrong information here. LG C2 QD OLED. New kind of OLED TV types of QD OLED finally goes on sale. Samsung, Sony take on LG with Quantum Dot special. Okay, yeah, QD only is Samsung, Sony only. So I guess the new one, the C2 is not. But I mean, I don't know. I remember it's like a better panel, but I'm still cool with the last year flagship though, because they have certain things that the new model does not have. Like for example, it has black frame insertion and stuff like that they got rid of in C2, and you do want that. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. But anyway, so it started out at thousand, looks like 1,700 like 50ish. Oh yes, $1,752. That was the price when it came out in 2000. Oh, what came out in? Oh wait, no, this is 2021. Oh, that was in May. Okay, I thought. Okay, when I saw 19, I thought they meant 2019. I was like, what? That even hasn't been out that long. But yeah, the highest was in May when it came out, $1,700, and it's like $899 right now. That's it's such a big drop, you know. And it is absolutely the lowest it's ever been. So it's cheaper now than even during Black Friday. And this is actually always the best time to get a TV. Like everyone's like, oh, get it on Black Friday. It's like usually that's the second best deal. The best deal is always around April to like I guess now, right, until like mid June-ish, where that's the window where they get rid of all the previous stock from, because this sale right now is essentially until stock is gone. So if you're waiting, you know, like let's say you got a big house and like you even want like a secondary TV or something, like 48 inch, this is an excellent price. Like even the 55 inch I feel like is a really good price too. I really want a 65, but I don't think the 65 is dropped to a good price yet. And so I'm just going to do this 48 inch and try and make it work as a monitor as well, secondary monitor, but also like obviously as my main TV, because like I'm just using a like 25 inch like old ass monitor as not only like a monitor, but I'm using it as a TV. And if I felt sitting at a desk, it wouldn't be that bad. But I mean, I sit really far away from it because I don't have a desk. So like the viewing experience is not the best. Is what I'm trying to say. So I'm like super stoked about this. And OLED looks, I mean, that jump in quality is gonna be crazy. Because every time I go to Costco, I'm sitting there like drooling, looking at the display models. I'm like, man, it looks so amazing, you know. Yeah, so like I mean, connected to my laptop, I can have another monitor, and like it's gonna help with the stream situation. And then once I can get a hands on like a PS5, then you know I'll be next gen baby. You know I'll be in there, get that next gen action. And then of course like you know towards the end of this year like build that PC and stuff, and then yeah by then I should be pretty much set up for everything I need to do. So I'm actually really excited because it's been a long time, and you know building towards stuff. You know the foundation of it was this laptop. This laptop right here is enabling me to even stream at all, and like all this stuff that I'm doing right now. yeah, I mean, it feels good, right? Because like not only am I learning stuff, but like I'm progressing, I guess, right? And getting better at it, and I'm actually doing, right? Not just thinking and hoping, right? Because there's a huge difference. And for anyone out there that's like stuck in that situation where you're like, oh, I want to do this, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, I want to do this, and how would I go about doing it? Let me just channel that Shia LaBeouf towards you and just be like, just do that shit. It doesn't matter what it is, just do it. You'll learn so much during it, while failing at it, while, you know, just being, I don't know. I wanted to say like being in it, like kind of like you're in the pool or something, and like, and you're just being saturated by it, because that's essentially what it is, right? Whatever you're learning, and even if you're the type of like, well, I need to do like all the research beforehand and do like I'll learn the mechanics of everything before I actually try it. Even if you're that type of person, I would say you would learn so much more actually doing. It doesn't matter what type of person you are. I'm not saying like just always like go headfirst into everything without thinking things through and just jump off the bridge, right? Like, but there is so much that cannot be quantified, um, like that you gain by doing, right? So whatever it is, right? And even if that is not the final form of it, of whatever it is you're trying to do, like you will still be able to like garner something from that. So um, good luck to everyone out there doing your endeavors, but make sure they are actually endeavors, not just like dreams, right? Because how are you gonna make it real if you don't actually work towards it? So uh, I mean, I'm still guilty of stuff like that. I sit there and do a lot of stuff, like thinking about it or researching it or learning about it, and then I tell myself, like, well, I mean, you're working towards it because you're, doing stuff that's ancillary around, like that's nearby what it is that you need to be doing. But that's not what it is. You actually need to do what it is that you need to do. As dumb as that sounds, it's like, yo, look at this guy. He's giving such good advice. Do what you gotta do. That's so profound, right? Like, obviously, it sounds hella stupid, but I mean, that's what it is, man. And it's nothing complex. It's just like, do it. Just do it. Anyway, yeah. I'm looking at this TV here. I don't even know where I'm gonna put it. Like, I don't even have like furniture. Like, I mean, I could put it on the floor, but I don't want to do that. I guess, yeah, I'll figure something out. But man, I'm so excited. It's gonna be cool. Um, Yeah, and it has Dolby Cinema and Dolby Atmos too. So like, I mean, although the viewing experience is not going to be good as the cinema quality from like the Sony OLED TVs, like the Bravia ones, their top end Bravia ones are so good. If you're just watching film, like let's say you're like hardcore into films, and you're like, okay, just that's just my jam, right? That's definitely the TV to get. But I mean, you want to do like a jack of all trades that's like almost brilliant in everything, especially for the price. Like LG, man, LG C1, definitely the one. Or I guess C2 for this year. But yeah, let me see what the pricing is for 55-inch here on Amazon. Yeah, see, it's $1,000. That's still good too. That's still really good. 65-inch. I was waiting for the 65-inch to drop, like dip below 1,000. I'd be like, yeah, let me get that, you know. But right now it's on sale for 1,500, like almost 1,600. So it's like, yeah, I don't know if that's gonna happen. But yeah, and also like when I was looking at the C1, I feel like the build quality is a little bit better than the C2. Like the stand is all metal and stuff, and like it feels more premium than like the new one. So there's definitely like pros to the old one. So I know I keep talking about it, but man, I've been researching TVs for so long, and I've always wanted an OLED, like essentially zero latency. And just imagine playing like any sort of Twitch type of game, like a shooter game. You can't complain. You're playing OLED, you can't complain. There's no latency there. Like, I mean, you're playing a fighting game, be like, okay, I need my frame perfect combos. Like, you got that, I'm super excited. Anyway, like I've been streaming for how long now? Like for an hour. Just I should have been just chatting, huh? I should do that actually. Just always start in just chatting, because usually I'll talk about random shit at the start. Um, yeah. That's probably smarter. But anyway, let me, I guess, log in, do dailies with this clown, and then, well, actually, I guess I gotta do dailies with everybody, huh? All right, but that's not gonna last long for sure. Like, cause once I get everyone to 60, I'm pretty sure this game's out of here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. There's so many other games out there that, I mean, like, I'm even thinking like just like Monster Hunter, like that game, like that game doesn't, like, it's not predatory, and that also has like that grind element, like where you're trying to gear up and stuff. But it's like the mechanics are good, it's challenging, it's fun. Co-op is cool too. I mean, I played it like once, and like I played with a like the super baller people, like where they're both like hella good at the game and they're geared out. I just didn't want to get carried, so I wanted to get my gear up before playing with them again. But I do want to play with them again. Um, they were cool. Uh, their characters looked hella cool too. But anyway, all right. So time to round the controller here. There's the reticle. All right, enter the world.